All right, when we are converting between radians and degrees, there is one simple method that I recommend you use, and I'm going to show that during this video. And hopefully you'll be able to do that at the end of the video as well. I think you will. So the single method we're going to use is setting up a proportion right here. But before I talk about that, I want to just remind you that we're going to use this pi over 180, which is pi over 180 radians is equal to 180 degrees. And I could have used 2 pi over 360 because one full time around the circle is 2 pi radians and 360 degrees. They're the same thing. I prefer to use the pi over 180 because it's written in lowest terms. So I'm going to set up a proportion here. Pi over 180 degrees is equal to however many radians and however many degrees. And so if you're given radians, you'd plug that in here and then solve for degrees. If you're given the degrees, then you plug it in there and solve for the radians. And I'll give you a couple examples of that now. So convert 4 radians into degrees. And there's just the reminder of the method that we're going to use. So I'm going to set up the proportion pi over 180, and I'm going to put in the degree symbol there. I didn't in the slide, but there it is equal to 4 radians over some number of degrees. And I'm going to use theta, which is the variable we usually use when we're talking about angle measures. So we're going to cross multiply here, and in one direction I get 4 times 180, which is 720, and in the other direction I get pi times theta. In our next step, we're going to divide by pi, and so 720 over pi is an exact answer for theta. But if we want to, get an estimate and understand a little bit better what that number actually is, then we're just going to do 720 over pi in our calculator, and we'll get about 229.2 degrees is equal to theta. I'll do one more example here. Convert negative 300 degrees into radians. So again, we're going to set up our original proportion. Pi over 180 degrees is equal to some number of radians over negative 300 degrees. And we're going to cross multiply, and we'll get 180 theta is equal to negative 300 over pi. Now we divide by 180, which is the same as multiplying by 1 over 180. And then what we have on the left side here is theta is equal to negative 300 over 180 pi. And that is not written in simplest terms, so we can do that. Negative 300 and 180 are both divisible by 60, so we'll have theta is equal to negative 5 over 3 pi, and we should then estimate that, and so we'll have negative 5 divided by 3 pi, and we get there is theta is approximately equal to negative 0.53 radians. And we don't need to write radians there. When we have theta, we're talking about an angle measure. If we don't have a degree symbol, then it's got to be in radians. So that's the one method using that single proportion that we can use when converting from radians to degrees or from degrees to radians. Hope that helps everybody. Take care.